Have you ever been in a situation or a time of your life where you looked around and you're like, how am I doing this? I am not ready for this. I don't feel prepared. I don't even know what I'm doing. I remember for me and my husband, when we had our first daughter, we were in the hospital and we had just had her. We were about to be discharged, about to go home. And the nurse was like, we have just one thing left that you need to do. And we just need to make sure that you know how to strap your child into the car seat. So we're like, great. We bring our car seat in. They show us how to put her in there, strap, make sure all the buckles are tight and everything. And then the nurse says, all right, you guys are ready to go home. We'll see you later. Have a nice life, basically. And I remember my husband and I looking at each other being like, okay, we're going home with this and no one's coming with us. Like, we don't need to have a child development degree. We don't need to go to parenting classes. Like, we just felt so ill-equipped and just not ready for what we were about to do. Hi guys, my name is Alexis and I'm one of the children's pastors at North Coast here. And today I want to talk about that feeling of being ill-equipped. And I have to wonder if David felt the same way in the situation where he was about to go fight Goliath. You see, as Chris laid out for us this weekend, David was not the first choice of somebody that would go fight a giant. He was small and tiny. He was young in age. He was a shepherd. He was the youngest brother in a long line of strong men. And to top it all off, he wasn't even at the battle. He wasn't invited to go to the battle. He was told to stay home and take care of the sheep while they went off to fight. But he had one thing that was so important, and that was a heart that was desiring a relationship with God and desiring to follow after God and to be obedient to what God had asked. And by the worldly standards, by Saul's standards, David was not the guy to fight. But God said, that is the man that I want to use, and that is the guy that I want to use to do this thing. And one of the coolest parts of this story is the weakness of David being used in the power of God. And I think that's such a beautiful thing for us to understand because God wants the same for us. He wants to use us, and he doesn't need us to be fully ready, fully prepared, have all the skills, the knowledge, everything we need to be equipped for what he's asking of us. He just wants us to be obedient to him, and he's going to call us to do some amazing things. There's a quote that maybe you've heard before, but it says, God doesn't call those who are qualified, he qualifies those that he calls. Because when God asks us to do something, when he asked David to fight Goliath, he gave David everything he needed. David didn't need the armor that Saul was putting on. What everybody else thought he should use, David didn't need. He said, I just need my God. And God wants to do the same with us. He wants to use us for amazing things. He just wants us to trust him. And so maybe there's a situation in your life where you feel like God is asking you to do something that you're not ready for, or a situation in your life that feels hard and feels overwhelming, and you're like, how is God allowing this to happen, or how am I prepared to handle this? And God says, I want you to trust me that in your weakness, I can be strong for you. And there's a verse in 2 Corinthians that I think is just so encouraging that I want to read to you guys. And at this time, Paul was actually being tempted by Satan, and he actually asked God 3 times to allow this torment to stop. And this was God's response to him. In 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 9, it says, but God said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in your weakness. Then Paul said, therefore I will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses, so that Christ's power may rest on me. That is why, for Christ's sake, I delight in my weaknesses, in insults, in hardship, in persecution, in difficulties. For when I am weak, I am strong. And I think that verse is so encouraging. And I hope that it encourages you that whatever you're going through, that you can trust that God is going to equip you. God is going to give you the things that you need in order to do what he's asking you to do. Because David did not have everything he needed to fight Goliath. But God used him, a small, insignificant boy, to accomplish something great in his will. So I hope that encourages you that you can be used by God too, and I hope you'll let him. Thanks for being here today with us, and we'll see you next time.